What is going on, guys? Winner Kills here, and welcome to a brand new locals feature match. This is round 3 for my locals this past Saturday. We've got a pretty interesting matchup here. We have Phantom Knights on the left versus Satellarknights on the right. My friend Alex piloting the Satellarknight deck. And very, very nostalgic deck. This is actually one of the first competitive decks I ever played, and I loved playing it. I actually still have the deck to this day. And, after watching these matches, I kind of want to play it again. So as these guys roll some dice, let's take a look at who you guys thought was going to win this particular match. I asked it in a very interesting way, but about 1.3 thousand votes, and 82% of you guys voting for Phantom Knight, and the rest voting for Satellarknight. That is probably one of the biggest landslide polls I think we've ever seen. And I mean, I don't blame everybody that voted for Phantom Knight, but let's see if you guys were correct. Phantom Knight winning the die roll here, which is huge. Satellarknight, definitely a deck that would like to go first. I mean, I have seen some going second builds in the past, meaning super poly, evenly matched, all of these things, but of course, a traditional, Satellarknight deck would like to go first, especially again going against a deck like Phantom Knight. So we're going to see him open up a pretty strong opening here, and then we're going to see him get into Cherubini. And then we're going to see Cherubini actually send the Torn Scales. We're going to see him banish the Gloves to summon out, or send the Stained Greaves. That's going to summon out the Torn Scales on Resolution because a Phantom Knight was banished. And he opened Graph, so we can now see why he didn't send Graph. And trying to combo here by fixing his hand and playing this combo out in a very interesting way. Still getting Seer out onto the board by discarding the Graph, of course, off of the Torn Scales effect to dump the Wings, and Seer still hits the board. So technically still like business as usual here. Getting into Rusty, we're going to see Seer bring back the Cherubini like usual. And I think he's got, I think that's a Skullmeister in hand. Unsure of what the other card is. Could be another Torn Scales, I'm not entirely sure. We're going to see him set Shade, and he's going to go ahead and send Boots from the deck. And this will be the true test of how good his hand is past this point. We're going to see him activate Wings in the grave. That's going to bring out Stained Greaves. And we're going to go ahead and see him make a rank 3. So yeah, it looks like, I mean, his opening hand was awkward, but still able to play through it quite a bit. Rather easily. Going to go into Leviair, which is a really, really solid extender here. So going for like the anti-Nibiru play, it looks like. Yeah, it looks like he has Cloak and Meister in hand. Those are the two remaining cards. Then we're going to see him activate Shade Brigadine. And we're going to see him make a 3-mat Appaloosa. Like usual, gets to keep the Gloves on board, which is really helpful because he can get into either a Break Sword or a link to like Anaconda, which is probably something we'll see. Banish the Stained Greaves from the grave to go ahead and summon out the Cloak. He can make Evil Swarm Nightmare if he goes for the Break Sword pop, which we will see. And I mean, like, I'm not a true Phantom Knight player, not yet, anyways. So like the play that we're gonna see right now, like I don't get why you make the Break Sword. And then, I mean, okay, I get why you make the Break Sword. I was going to say, like, why not just go right for Anaconda instead of going for Break Sword, pop it with Bardiche, and then summon the 2 back, then make Anaconda. But, like, I see why. Getting Break Sword in circulation in the graveyard is really helpful for Fogblade, and Bardiche combinations, bring back a Break Sword, and then, trigger Rusty to pop a card, or, get an Xyz monster on board you can slap Downard on top of, then Zeus on top of, so I get it now. I get it. It's all coming together. We're going to see him obviously summon out Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. No shocker there. And now we're going to see him banish the Boots. And he's going to go ahead and grab Fogblade. And might set the Fogblade here. Might not. Actually, probably not going to set the Fogblade just because like he can discard it off of the Dragoon. And that will be a good extender in the graveyard. Gets to keep the Skullmeister in hand as well because of that. We're going to see our Satellarknight player normal summon Vega, activate effect to attempt to summon a Satellarknight monster from the hand. It's going to get negated by Appaloosa. Vega is rocking a 1200 attack stat, so we will go into the battle phase and attack over Anaconda for just a measly 700 damage. And then we're going to see him set 4, which is no surprise here. And that's probably going to do it for his turn. It being the trap deck that it is. not really too much going on every turn. Not at least turn 1. Once the engine gets rolling, it can do quite a bit, you know, rolling into Vega, Altair, Deneb, or Altair, Vega, Deneb combos, and just going into your Trigger every turn. So he's going to pass turn after that, and our Phantom Knight player is going to start with the Dragoon, attempting to pop the Vega to burn for 1200, which is something you probably want to stop here. Otherwise, it may just be game. But they actually did have a ruling question here, so you guys are going to see a cut in the video, and I want to bring this up for context for a bit later on, as well as something you guys will see pop up on the screen too. So he does have quite a few cards set, and yeah, so after the ruling question was answered, so they did have to call a judge, and they did get a 1-minute time extension, so I wanted to throw that on the screen. And the ruling question was, could he still get to draw off of Alpha if he negates the Dragoon effect? And the way that Stellar Nova Alpha is worded, it says, negate the effect, destroy that card, and then draw 1 card. It's not like, and if you do, it's like negate, and if you do destroy it, and then draw 1 card. It's not like negate and destroy, and then if you do draw 1. So the judge ruled it that he would still get to draw off of the Alpha, even though that Dragoon was not destroyed by the effect, which I think is totally correct in my eyes. So the Dragoon burn effect will get negated, and our Tellarknight player will get to draw a card as a result. I wish Alpha didn't have to attribute a Tellarknight monster. Like, it's nice that at least gives you the trade-off of drawing a card, but like in a trap deck, you're drawing traps that are probably not too helpful. But either way, we're going to see our PK player continue here, probably just trying to assemble game. You don't really have to worry about Nibiru here. I mean, you kind of do. Nibiru plus Solemn Strike might actually just end this man's whole career. And I think Nibiru, out of all the hand traps you could possibly play in a deck like Tellarknight, is like one of the best because of the synergy with Stellarknight Triver, or Trevere, whatever you want to call it. Because you can just bounce it back to the hand to reuse. Same thing with cards like Phantasme, the Iris Sword Soul, Mirador, the Heavenly Zephyr, all those really cool hand traps that summon themselves can be recycled back to the hand with the help of cards like Stellarknight Trevere. Now we're going to see the Break Sword get summoned to the zone that Rusty points to. That's going to trigger Rusty effect to pop a card. And he's targeting the set, which ends up actually being a Crackdown. And we're going to see him chain Crackdown, interestingly enough. And I think he went, I had to go back and check the original audio, but I think he went to take the Rusty. But Crackdown is worded in such a way that says the monster cannot activate their effects. So I think the way the players understood it was that the Crackdown would actually negate the Rusty, which is not true. Since Rusty is already activated, the effect to pop would still go through, but it's going to burn a Dragoon negate anyways. So, like, I mean, it is what it is, but I mean, this still poses a huge problem for our Tellarknight player. Has 2 sets. The Dragoon is now at 4,000, and he's going to swing in for 4K. It will go through. 2,100 from Rusty. That will land as well. I mean, this is game on board, even with Appaloosa being at 1,600. There is also a Fog Blade engraved, too, with that, you know, Break Sword. So we're going to see him swing for 2,000 with the Break Sword. It's going to be met with a Fiendish Chain. I mean, like, so if he had Fiendish Chain, like, why not, like, Fiendish Chain the Rusty and then, like, crack down the Appaloosa or crack down the Break Sword? I don't know. Maybe there's a different way to sequence that possibly, but either way, the other Break Sword is going to get brought out from the grave, and that is going to spell game regardless. And as we head into game 2, I would like to mention a quick shout out to the lovely people over at Imperium Duelist. If you guys haven't been on their site yet, you definitely should. They've come out with some new products recently, like a brand new Millennium 4.0 playmat featuring the Millennium Rod, some brand new GOAT format dice, featuring some famous monsters from the GOAT format, like Dekoichi, Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer, Yada, Morphing Jar, all those beautiful looking dice available for sale on their site right now, and you can get it all for 10% off using my discount code WinnerKills10 off at checkout to help save 10% off your entire order and support the channel in the process. And if you guys are buying anything on TCG Player, please do not forget to use my affiliate link down in the description below. If you guys shop and check out using that link, a small bit of the revenue from your purchase goes right back in the channel and helps out a ton. But our Tellarknight player is going to opt to go first here, obviously, leading with the Pot of Prosperity, and that's going to bait an Ash, allowing a Deneb to go through. Prosperity is an interesting card. Like, it's always like, I mean, it depends on the deck, honestly. Like, if I'm playing against VW, I'm never ashing a Prosperity because they always have the Gamma in hand. But I mean, ashing it there makes sense. Like, he's playing a control deck. The more cards that you can stop that allow him to see more cards, it's just going to allow you to whittle his resources down quickly. So the only new card advantage he's getting every turn is basically his draw for turn. So he's going to normal the Deneb. The Deneb search will go through. He'll set 3, and I believe he added Altair. And we're going to see him start spamming monsters of the field here. Kagamucha, Torn Scales, Boots, linking into Cherubini as you normally would, but it's going to be met with a Solemn Strike. Strike on Cherubini feels so bad. As a former Block Dragon Burning Abyss player, I know that feeling all too much. Cherubini is such a strong enabler. So being able to just outright negate the summon in general is amazing. You don't even want to let them get to the graph in the grave. Like, don't even want to strike that. Just get the body off the field, because otherwise you can just, like, link with the Cherubini and the Kagamucha to go right into Bardiche and then, you know, start going wild from there. So we're going to see Boots in the grave get activated, banishing itself to go ahead and add a copy of Shadebrig to the hand, and then that will trigger Rusty on a new chain. Or not Rusty, rather, Torn Scales on a new chain to summon since a Phantom Knight card was banished. So 2 level 3s on the board. I mean, unless he plays another Cherubini, I think there's really not much else he's going to be able to do this turn, other than maybe possibly make a Leviair play. He could step into, maybe he could hard make Rusty with 3 monsters. He could make a Break Sword, get 2 monsters back on the field. Like, I mean, outside of that, I don't really see much else. He does have a copy of Forbidden Chalice in hand, which now I think is the last card in hand. He also does have Torn Scales effect too, which you can't forget about that. And that is going to discard Kagamucha Knight to go ahead and send a Phantom Knight card from the deck to the grave. We'll see what he's going to dump. A part of the dump tactic, as I like to call Phantom Knight. And he's going to send the gloves, the hands that reach towards you. And he could go ahead and use that to go ahead and send like Fog Blade or a Wings. Act as like an extender here mid-combo. He could send Cloak. Cloak could grab Boots. But I think he's already used Boots, special summon from hand effects, so that's not really going to be too helpful here. Yeah, I mean, he definitely has some plays left in the bank here, but, you know, how I don't think it's going to be anywhere near full combo. So it looks like we will see him commit to the Leviair. And Leviair is going to get Strike. So double Strike opening. Yeah, that one's rough. I don't think there's much else he can do past that. Torn Scales, his graveyard effect has been exhausted, so, I mean, if he does decide to use gloves here, it's not going to lead to too much other than dumping a possible extender or, like, a way to block damage in the next turn if he dumps, like, Wings or a Fog Blade. So we will see him use gloves. Looking at Fog and not sending it. So, yeah, going to go ahead and send the Wings. Which, again, is kind of similar to Fog Blade in the grave, where it can just banish itself to summon out, I think, a Phantom Knight monster from the grave. And then I think it gets banished when it leaves the field. But end phase, no Call the Haunted. I mean, would have been that good anyways, because he didn't have started with the Anugalai to dump a Tellarknight monster to the grave. But we're going to see him normal summon the Altair, no effect. And I mean, adding Altair off the Deneb makes the most sense, because, like, you're not really expecting your Deneb to survive the turn. So, like, when you normal Altair next turn, you just get Deneb back and then get another search of another Altair. I remember, dude, it's so nostalgic, man. Tellarknights is like, so that, like, the first deck that I got from Duelist Alliance before I picked up Burning Abyss, and, like, I remember learning the ropes of that deck. And then, you know, the new wave of support and new challengers with Trevere. I remember playing, like, Heavy Slump as a tech card, where you'd bounce all your cards back to your opponent's hand, and if they have, like, 8 or more cards, they, like, discarded their entire hand and, like, drew 1 or something, or drew 2 to make them -6. Recycling Fiendish Chains and Vanity's Emptiness. Well, not Vanity's Emptiness, but things like that. It was so nostalgic. It's like one of the, like, and I like the deck the most because, like, that's the deck that I learned to, like, I want to say, like, get good at Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, that's when I was really starting to learn and, you know, go through the ups and downs of trying to be a competitive player, even if it's just at my local scene and, you know, traveling to other small events around. Like, that was the deck that I want to say I learned, like, modern competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! On, and then after that to Burning Abyss, which I loved probably just as much, if not more. And I remember making Satellarknight players suffer because I would make Triage Levia, and they would never get to play a single bit of Yu-Gi-Oh! Ever. I remember that. That's one memory I have that's very, like, specific, is, like, I was playing a Satellarknight player, and I made Triage Levia, and he just had to scoop. And if you know what Triage Levia is, let me know down in the comments, because you are an OG. That is a very, very good rank 3. And it'd be cool to see it make, you know, its rounds and decks today, like, specifically decks like Phantom Knight. Although it's probably not needed because Appaloosa, you could argue, is just kind of the same thing. But we're going to see our Satellarknight player make Bat-Lamias. Sorry for ranting, by the way. Bat-Lamias is going to attack, goes into main phase 2 to make Satellarknight Diamond, which this card is insane. And it'll just pass on that. Unfortunately, our Phantom Knight player does have the Chalice to out it, as he normals the tour guide, because basically, for those that don't know, Satellarknight Diamond says anytime a dark monster would activate its effect, you can detach a material from the card, negate the activation, and destroy it. That's not a once per turn, so basically you have 2 negates of dark monster. It says anytime a card would be added from the grave back to the hand is banished instead, and then neither player, I believe, or your opponent cannot send cards from their deck to the graveyard. Really, really solid card. He just happened to have the out for it. If he did not have that Chalice, I think this game, to be totally honest, would probably be over. But we're gonna see him actually link the graph and the tour, or the graph and tour guide for Nightmare Phoenix. It's gonna get hit with a Solemn Judgment. He'll pay half, dropping himself down to 2,500. And either we're seeing our Phantom Knight player electing to not use graph or forgetting about it, which I don't know how you do if it's right on top of your graveyard. Because, like, you could still graph summon out Seer summon out Cherubini, and then Cherubini effect. Well, Cherubini was never summoned properly, so I guess that doesn't lead anywhere. So scratch that. I guess that... Well, I mean, if he was playing Skarm, which I don't know if he is playing Skarm. Skarm would be a great card to summon right now to get a end phase tour guide follow-up. Basically making so his opponent has to kill him, or make it so he cannot come back. End phase Call the Haunted, one of the best interactions, bringing back Deneb to search Vega. Vega to bring out a Nuck from hand, dumping another Deneb. Triver's going to be able to be established here. Or maybe even another Diamond, but yeah, that's going to spell the end of game 2. Satellarknight's taking it. I want to say, I don't want to say commandingly, but taking it nonetheless. Yeah, Diamond is a pretty scary card if you let it come out. Very, very scary card. So here we are in game 3, a game 3 situation. And it's no surprise to see that Phantom Knights are going to go first. Opening hand looks like a Rusty, Kagamucha Knight, Ash, Feather Duster, and I.O. Really, really solid opening, going for Torn Scales into Kagamucha. Discarding Ash Blossom to send the gloves. Very, very unfortunate discard, but I mean, you got to do what you got to do. Cherubini resolving here. No Solemn Strike this time, luckily, because he is going first. So we'll send the Graph. Graph will summon the Seer. Cherubini will gain that 1,000 attack, putting it to 1,500. Don't forget. And then he's going to link into Rusty. That'll trigger Seer effect. Seer's going to bring back Cherubini. Man. I've been having a lot of fun playing Marincess. I'm not even gonna lie. I've had an absolute blast of a time playing a Marincess, but like I do every time I watch the PK deck play, I do get a little bit of an urge to play the deck. So we're gonna see Rusty effect activate. He's gonna go ahead and dump. Again, this is why it's called the dump tactic. So we're going to go ahead and see him dump the cloak and setting a copy of Fogblade as a result. PK players be like, Fogblade? So we're going to see him send, or banish the cloak now. I don't know what's wrong with me. We're going to see him banish cloak, add the boots, and that's going to trigger Torn Scale. So we're going to see him probably set up for the Leviair play. That's going to help him get into the Appaloosa, but we're going to see a nib on the summon of boots. You probably, well, I was going to say, you could probably let him go into Leviair, but, like, there's no guarantee that he's going to go right to Leviair. Because he could just link both the 2 PKs and the Cherubini right into the 3-mat Appo, and that could pose a problem if you have Nibiru in hand. That's not, like, a risk you really want to take. It's a 50-50 chance. I mean, odds are he's probably going to make Leviair to, like, help extend, to get into a better board, but, like, again, there's no guarantees. So, like, why not just go ahead and Nibiru there and just cut the losses. So we're going to see him banish cloak or gloves. That's going to dump wings. We're going to see him banish the boots. That's going to add fog blade. So 2 fog blades, and opting to not set IO or not obviously don't want to set the duster. But we're going to see our Satellarknight player lead with Ununkalai or Unk or Uncle, as I think one of my friends used to call it way back in the day, referred to as Ununkalai as Uncle. We're going to see its effect get negated, or at least attempt to be negated by fog blade. And we're going to see the Satellarknight Skybridge get activated in response. This is a card I wish that had a rarity bump because it deserves it. So basically, this card basically says target a Satellarknight monster control, shuffle it back into the deck, and then summon a Satellarknight monster from your deck with a different name. So he's going to be able to actually dodge the Fog Blade here. Chainlink 1, Anuk. Chainlink 2, Fog. Chainlink 3, Skybridge. Anuk will still resolve because it's not on the field to be targeted anymore by Fog Blade. And he's still going to get to send Deneb. And Vega will summon on a new chain, or activate on a new chain to bring out Altair. Altair brings out Deneb, and then Deneb, of course, grabs you the Altair for the follow-up play next turn. So really, really spicy interaction there. Yeah, really, really spicy. It's a weird chain link to resolve, but once you kind of like look at it and slow it down, it's very easy to understand. Such a great card to dodge a card like Fogblade. And now we're going to see all 3 of the Teller boys assemble. I know one viewer specifically is going to enjoy this. My man, Academic. He's going to love this matchup. I know it. So if you're watching, shout outs to you, my man. Also, a reminder to join the Discord if you guys haven't. Link to my Discord down in the description below. So we're going to see him contemplate, does he want to make just a rank 4? Does he want to go for the 3-mat rank 4? What's he going to go for? Delta Rose, Triver, Batlamias, keep another Satellarknight body on field. Like, what's the move here, essentially? And honestly, I think you just go for Triver just because, like, you bounce Nibiru back to your hand, which is insane. And if he does use the Fog Blade on the Triver, you just slap a diamond on top of it main phase 2. Because I don't think the Nibiru has too big a defense. Because both Bardiche and Cherubini have no defense because they don't link monsters. And then I don't think either Boots or Rusty have very high defense points either. So Triver will get summoned. A beautiful ultimate rare copy at that. And looks like not going to use the Fog Blade on the Triver. And then everything gets bounced, the Nibiru included. That interaction I was talking about earlier, so good. We're going to see other effective Triver activate to detach and then discard a random card out of the opponent's hand, and he does hit a Fog Blade. Probably would have loved to hit the Feather Duster out of the hand. I mean, granted, he doesn't know he has it, but we, as the viewers, do, the spectators. And then we're going to see him go into the battle phase, sink in 2100 damage, and set to Nibiru in hand. So now our... and he's going to go ahead and make the Diamond in main phase 2, just because you can only summon Diamond in main phase 2. Really, really solid card here. He's going to end phase Fogblade to bring out Bardiche. And now he's got to worry about 3 negates, essentially, from this Diamond. And we're going to see the Feather Duster get played. And our Satellarknight player is going to think here carefully about this. Does he want to use it? Or does he want to let it go through or not? But looks like he is going to negate it with Alpha. And the unfortunate part, he's got to get rid of the Diamond to do it, and at the cost of a draw. That's unfortunate. I mean, honestly, I don't know. Like, I feel like you kind of let the Duster resolve there because, like, how is he going to play through a 3-mat Diamond? That's basically like an Appaloosa, but better at this point. I mean, I don't know. He does have Nibiru in hand, so he's going to have to try to play through Nibiru in under 5 summons, which is going to be actually... like, I want to say, like, almost impossible to do with Phantom Knights currently. He's already at 3 here. He's going to go for... I mean, he gets to keep the other back row, too, which is nice. That better be a really good back row if he's going to save it and get rid of Diamond for it. So Break Sword's going to hit the field. Obviously, he's going to trigger Rusty. Rusty's going to attempt to pop, of course, the set. Or he might actually go to pop Break Sword here. I don't know if that's really the best idea. Looks like he's not going to use Rusty. He's just going to play it safe, go into the battle phase, and sink into some damage. Set 1, which we know to be IO. And yeah, it's IO. Yeah, it has to be IO. And now we're going to see him activate Break Sword to hit the set. So he's already summoned 3 times. So, like, I don't really know why you do this. You're just going to play right into Nibiru. I mean, you can still pop the backer. You just don't use the effect of... Okay, he's going to use the... And walk right into Nib. Okay. Yeah, so that's definitely 5 summons. Exactly 5. Rusty's going to get banished because it was summoned by Fogblade. And Nibiru says hello yet again. He's going to pass turn. Io is really not going to do too much right now. I mean, the only spells... I mean, he has a Prosperity in hand, which he doesn't really even need at this point. And also, you kind of want to do full damage if you can. Altair into Deneb. Deneb, of course, add Altair for next turn. And we're going to see him make a rank 4. Probably going to go for Batlamias here. Basically allows you to get into Trevera with just 2 level 4s instead of needing 3, which is helpful for a situation like this. Granted, you need to discard. Gets rid of Torrential, whatever. Bounce everything back. Nibiru included. He's just playing the lockdown game. And is going to swing in for 21. Now it is 59 to 39. And we're going to see him actually be able to block damage here with the Fogblade Breaksword. And 59-39. He just needs to sink in a 1 hit from Triver to be able to get his life points above that of his opponents, because time is going to be called very, very shortly. But remember earlier, these players did get a 1 minute extension from our judge. They did actually forget this because it was a very, very long game. They had to be reminded after the fact. So we're going to see Breaksword pop the Triver. It's going to trigger Triver effect. Breaksword's going to summon. And that's already 5 summons too. So we're going to see, you know, the Altair into Deneb. Deneb's going to get to search. He's going to add Vega for next turn. He's going to get the Nibiru token. Things are going so fast right now. Everything's also sped up too. Banish the Boots, Set, Shade, Pass, and, you know, Vega, Altair, Deneb. Go for a rank 3, or rank 4 with 3 mats. Go for the Altair, balance everything, swing for 21, and that puts him above his opponent's life points by 100. They did forget the time extension, but they did remember it shortly after, before they put the cards away. Before they put everything away, and the Satellarknight player was awarded the win, because with that 1 minute extension, he would have been able to go into Triver to go for a game. So Satellarknight's taking this one here, 2-1. A lot of you guys are wrong. Hope you hold that L, hold it nice and tight, and that's going to do it for this video. If you guys want to see more of my content, click on one of the videos popping up in the bottom of the screen right now. And last but not least, I want to give a special shout out to our Divine level channel members, and they are Cadillacs84, Pony Stark, Keith Sidgers, Daryl Bess, and Tweeter0226. Thank you guys so much as always for your extremely generous support.